So my freshman year, I lived in a living learning community. It was the Engineering LLC, and we all had to take University 100, which is the class that I now teach. And my peer advisor was a Spanish major, and it was a bunch of engineers in my class, and so she was like, guys, we really need some engineers. And I was like, yeah, why not? I'll fill the position. And ever since then, it's been the best decision I've ever made. Yeah, I've been there since freshman year. The second half of my freshman year, I went through a training class in order to get into the position, and then I've taught a class every spring semester or every fall semester after that, and it's just a great opportunity, and I love it so much.
I want to teach English in high school, so I thought being in the classroom with college-age kids was great practice for that.
What made me choose to be a PA were my first-generation college student mentors who helped me during my STEP transition into the university. I'm STEP 2014, and my mentors were STEP 2011 alumni, so they ushered me into the PA position by telling me what it was all about and how it was about student empowerment, sort of like it was in place for students who I guess didn't have the STEP program, and it was still there to sort of help and guide students throughout their first year at George Mason University. So that's why I decided to become one, because I really am passionate about empowering students.
I love this position. It's a great way so I get to help freshmen, number one. Like the Patriot leaders help you get into Mason, and the RAs help you with any problems that you have, and they're like your mom and your dad, and they overshadow you. But I kind of consider myself like that cool uncle that gets to hang out with you, right? I give you all the tips that you need in order to be successful here at Mason, and I've learned a lot myself. But the best part about it isn't actually helping the students; it's the team that I have with my other peer advisors, and I get to build friends that way. Some of my best friends are the people that I work with.
I like it because I get experience for what I want to do for my career. There aren't really internships for teachers, so this is kind of how I'm viewing that. I also just really love talking to the other students and being there as a resource for them.
Yeah, I enjoy my position a lot. It's a stipend position, so I get paid. We have retreats, so I get to bond with my staff. We have a lot of fun activities we host during the fall. Like last year, we hosted Pancakes in the Park. We have like a peer advisor, a faculty, and a peer advisor basketball game, which is like a fundraising thing, and we have a lot of events on campus that we can host, so I have a lot of fun with the position.
So the way the application process goes is it comes out in the fall, and you fill it out. It's usually due end of November, beginning of December. You fill out your application, they take a look they do a grade check over winter break, and then when you come in the spring semester, you set up an interview in the spring and at the beginning in January, and then you go through a group interview process where you work with other people, other candidates, and see how you work together as a team. And then after that, you have an individual interview, and then after that, there's a selection, and then once you get selected, you then go through a training class in the spring.
It was actually it was one of the most difficult processes I've been through here at Mason, so it was multi-layered. You did an online application, and then if they liked your application from there, then you did a group interview, and then if they liked you from there, then you got a personal interview, and then you wait to get hired.
The process for applying is sometime later this year, either in November or maybe even October. The application will open to submit to become a peer advisor. All students who have University 100 will be notified by it via instructor who is their peer advisor or the professor. And then all of the students who are not at University 100can either find out about it from their friends or from social media or emails that we'll send out. And yeah, you just apply online, and then the process is usually a group interview and an individual interview. Whether or not you have the group one first or the individual first, I guess depends on the year. Sometimes it switches up, but yeah.
So I looked online more about it and read the job description, and then I talked to any students that I knew who were peer advisors. And then beyond that, I tried to find any personal connection with anyone in the office, the CART office that holds peer advisors or supervises them, so I could get like their insider experience and they would know my name and face.
Some behind the scenes stuff one can do is to get to know other peer advisors. It may sound hard, but it is not as hard as it seems. If you're taking University 100, or you know a friend who is taking University 100, you can connect with your instructor or their instructor / peer advisor, and started out as I'm interested in certain aspects of college, or like certain involvement opportunities, or I have a certain major and I want to get in contact with somebody else who's a peer advisor and is involved with these things or taking these classes. And once you get that contact, you get to just, I guess, bounce off and just branch out to more and more people. And eventually you'll just pretty much know enough peer advisors that when it is time for the selection process and peer advisors are being asked about certain people who they're interviewing, you're one of the people that they already know and are familiar with, so you already have that relationship going into your interview. So while people are having their 30-minute interviews, 15-minute interviews, you're having that as well as an interview of you getting to know the person outside of that space, which is very good. You can also meet up with faculty members who are part of CART, Center for Academic Advising, Retention, and Transitions. They're the ones in charge of University 100 and peer advisors. So if you go to that office and you sort of inquire about it and get to know the office a little more and maybe set up a couple of meetings with the adults and faculty who run that space, you can also get to know more about the position and they'll get to know you. And that's also helpful in the decision process for being a peer advisor.
I was just hanging out with my students one day, and one of them opened up to me and told me about a lot of difficulties that they went through in high school and family issues that they had, and really just told me about what they went through. And I actually had the same issues that he went through, and so I was able to connect with him on that and connect him to the proper resources and help him get better as an individual, just like I did. And on top of that, my second favorite memory is I remember I completely had to get rid of all of my old friends because they were not very good for me. And so I was in the process of trying to make new friends, so I went to my fellow peer advisors, my coworkers, and I went to my friend Jess and I was like, hey, I really need someone to hang out with. And so we hung out that entire week. And ever since then, I've been able to really get my feet back under me here at Mason and become successful because of the friends that I've made through the position.
My most memorable moment was the first day I was in the classroom. I was super nervous, and we had been trained to kind of expect our class to not respond to us and it would be very quiet and awkward. But they came in guns blazing, super excited for everything, and class discussion had to be cut off. So that was a really good memory in the way that everything kind of clicked. It felt right. It felt successful.
My favorite memory from being a peer advisor was probably my university class. The first time I applied to be a peer advisor, I didn't really know who else had applied to be a peer advisor. So my best experience was walking into my classroom, because we have to take a class in the fall, in the spring to prepare us to teach, is walking into the class and seeing all these familiar faces of my other friends who were also embarking on the student leadership path of the university. So it was really cool, my face lit up and I just had a really good time after that. So it was nice seeing everybody I knew also, or not everybody I knew, but a lot of people I knew trying to be PAs as well.
So as a peer advisor, we teach the class, which is University 100, so a lot of people know what goes into doing that. I have to grade and I have to plan lesson plans, but the things that people don't know is I actually work together with 40 other people. They're other peer advisors, and we plan a program, and we conduct that program, things like Pancakes in the Park or S'more Spirit. And people just don't know what all goes into that, and preparing to do that, and taking care of that, and the connections that I make there, and the ability to plan a program is really interesting.
The amount that goes into planning for our class is insane. I actually was in a 2-hour meeting today with my co-teacher, the faculty member I co-teach with, just planning the activities and the topics for this week. It's really intensive.
So my first 2 years as a peer advisor, I was being supervised by another student, and they were my senior peer advisor, and they've been the greatest people I've ever met. They helped guide me to become not just a better student, but also a better person, and have these leadership abilities. Now I'm in that position, so my boss and my supervisor is actually a faculty member that works for the university, and she's been the most supportive person I could have ever asked for. She's been there with me through all of my different major changes. She's helped support me and push me in the right direction as far as what I want to do for my career. And whenever I'm just having a bad day, she's someone that I could go to if I need really is just like another friend that holds me accountable when I need to be held accountable.
Aisha, she's one of our supervisors in CART, and she is fantastic. She's one of the best supervisors I've ever had. She's really personable, and she cares about you on that personal level, wants to know what's happening in and out of the position. I think one of the main reasons I love Aisha so much is how down to earth she is. She's very approachable. That's always a great quality with your supervisor, being able to talk to them about anything that's happening in the position.
My supervisor, she's the coolest. Her name is Aisha Puel. She's like my boss friend, so I don't know, it's a balance, but she's just one of the coolest people I've met at George Mason, and she's very helpful. She's more concerned about my well-being than she is about other things in relation to the job, which really helps, because I feel like, I mean, if you're really well-rounded as a person and you're really good if you have a lot of personal stuff that you're dealing with and you can get through those things, you can be a better peer advisor. You can help other people through those experiences, and she helps us become better people and individuals, so we can help our students be the same way, like better people and better individuals. So she's a very cool person. I really enjoy working with her.
So I teach the class. I don't teach the class by myself. I teach with another faculty member, someone who works for the university. They change every year. I get a new one, and that's where most of my working environment is. It's in the classroom in there. So they're just like my supervisor. They help support me and grow me in the classroom. They push me to do things that I wouldn't normally do to make me better. But if there's something I don't feel comfortable doing, they're not going to make me do it. And so I get this ability to just grow from that position and have that supporting cast with that faculty, my supervisors, and then all of my students also just help me out. I've learned just as much from my students as they've learned from me throughout the year.
So the working environment as a peer advisor it's very different. So like in your classroom, it's different from being with your fellow peer advisors in meetings. Both of those are good. Obviously, like your classroom management is up to you, so you create that environment. And mine is personally positive, but within meetings, it's also really positive. We're all very close. We've done like retreats, and we've known each other for almost a year now. And so we're all friends, and when we get together in meetings, we do like activities and games together, like PA Minute to Win It games.
Yeah, it's a very good work environment. It's not stressful at all. It's rewarding, it's fun, and I get to learn a lot about myself as well as other people, make certain connections that I feel like are very useful and can last.
The advice that I give to someone who is interested in the position is to just go for it, right? You need to put yourself out there. Don't commit to one thing. If you're thinking about other student leadership positions, apply for all of them, right? This one is, like I said, I feel like the uncle. Going into it, I was like, I'm gonna give them all the little tips that I've learned, right? Like, they roughly know how to like study and do these things, so I'll give them the little tips that I've learned, right? Like only study for 30 minutes and then take a 5-minute break. How that's been successful for me, or the great places that I've been to teach and like study, and the things that I've picked up along the way, like don't eat this from Southside, right? It's the advice that I give to someone is don't worry about what you don't know. Just remember the little things that you've learned along the way, right? In your first semester here, you've already learned things about how to live at college. So that's things that you would just think about back to like, man, I wish I would have known that. That's the things that you can tell your students.
I think that you should approach it in a similar way that I did, in the way of knowing the full job description. Make sure you know how much of a time commitment something is, because academics always come first, and I would be lying if I said time management hasn't been stressful. But also, if you're looking for a position, to kind of go above and beyond to get your name attached to your face. The way I went into CART and I talked to Aisha before my interview, it was just kind of making that personal connection. I think that helped for me to get hired as a peer advisor.
Some advice I would give to people applying is just be yourself in the interview, be yourself be yourself in the individual interview, be yourself at the group interview, and just reflect authenticity.
Before I got this position, I guess I would have wished I'd known that, like, I'd work with other peer advisors. I thought that I would just get the job and then go into the classroom and be in the classroom the entire time, and it would be like this thing where, like, I just meet with my faculty to play in the class, and then I come into the class and I teach. But I had no idea the amount of people that I would get to work with, the other peer advisors, because they're students just like me, right? And so I get to make friends that way. Like I said, my best friends are peer advisors, and so I wish I would have known that I had that opportunity to work with other student leaders.
So I am involved in a lot of other things, but academics comes first, and balancing those things has been my hardest task this semester. So yeah, if I would have known how much time being a peer advisor would take up out of my schedule, I think I would have either let things go beforehand or been able to schedule things a bit better.
Anything I wish I would have known going in that I didn't, how quick the process is. So like the group interviews go by really quick. Like you have to hit the ball really hard, really quick, because it's almost like you're given, it's supposed to be that way, but you're given a task to accomplish in a certain amount of time, which usually would take you a longer time to accomplish. But for group interview purposes, they want to see how quickly you can work under pressure. So just know that it's going to be a speedy process. So be ready for that.
I've gained a sense of pride, right? I have something to do, something to stick my flag in, right? I've been here, I am a peer advisor, and I've made an impact on students. A bunch of my students, they still come to me when they see me around, right? Like even if I quit my job tomorrow, I'd still be Mike the peer advisor to 3 groups of students, right? They'll come up, they'll be like, yeah, that's you, I can help you out, like, and he's the guy that has all the answers for me, right? And so they could come up to me and ask me things like that. And on top of that, I've learned how to work with the best of the best, right? These peer advisors aren't just Joe Blow along the street, right? They're good students that know what they're doing and can manage their time. And so I've learned a lot from them, and they've learned a lot from me, and just the ability to work with them has taught me a lot.
I've gained so much. Beyond gaining experience for my career, I've gained a lot of friends. I've gained great references for other job applications. Being a peer advisor opened so many more doors for my career, I think, than I had initially thought it would. I'll get to sit on hiring panels. You get like small team and large team experience. You run programming events, and working closely with a faculty member looks really great on my resume also.
I've gained a lot from this position. I can public speaking skills, communication skills. I learned how to give feedback, set up one-on-one meetings where you're talking more about the person than you are about, I guess, other things. For example, I'm more concerned about, how are you doing, as opposed to, so your grades aren't looking good. Well, even though that might tie into your identity or how you're feeling at the moment, I'm more concerned about your well-being. So being more concerned about other people is something I also gained from the position. A network. I've gained a lot of faculty that I can work with, who can write recommendations for me, who can help me get certain positions that I want on campus. I've also been able to work with a bunch of wonderful peer advisors, which is also making my college network really nice. People I can hang out with, grab lunch with, plan classes with, plan activities with, and get to know better overall. So it's a very rewarding experience.